Every now and then you'll be in a situation where you need that little extra something to get the right shot. That's where filters really come into use. So here are the top 3 filters that every photographer must have in their kit. Roll that intro. What's up YouTube, Jonathan here from iShoot Images, and today we're going to talk about filters and why every photographer should have at least these 3. Filters are amazing and you can use them to create effects in camera before you take an image into Lightroom or Photoshop. But when I talk about filters, what do I mean? You might be thinking, filter? I use filters. I don't mean those kind of filters. No, I'm talking about physical filters that screw onto the front of your lens. No point wasting time. What are these top 3 filters every photographer must have in their kit? Well, the first one is the ultraviolet filter, also known as a clear filter or a haze filter. This filter basically is just a clear piece of glass, and a lot of photographers use them to protect the lens from dirt, dust, moisture, and more importantly, scratches. You do not want scratches on your lens. Now, I'd show you my UV filter, but I broke it the other day. But hey, it protected the lens, and that's what it's there for. Now, you don't need to have a UV lens. It's one of those optional things. But for lens protection, it's highly recommended. The second essential filter you need is a polarizing filter, more commonly known as a PL. The polarizing filter drastically reduces reflections, enhances color, and increases contrast. They are perfect for shooting outdoors on a sunny day. Now, in this shot here, I used the polarizing filter. It was a really bright sunny day, blue skies, and we were shooting under the trees, so there was loads of contrast. I wanted to make sure the bus was really well exposed, so I used fill-in flash on the bus and the polarizing filter to really bring down the exposure of the sky. And you can see here, it looked amazing. Yes, I could have taken the shot without the polarizing filter, but it would have required a lot more work in Lightroom and Photoshop to get it to the same level. Polarizing filters are also worth their weight in gold if you're shooting through glass and you've got reflections. Now, you won't get rid of all of the reflections depending on where you are, but you'll get rid of quite a few of them. They are really worth the investment. Go into your local camera store, jump onto eBay, find yourself a good polarizing filter. You need it in your kit. How does the polarizing filter work? You've got sunglasses, don't you? If you've got a pair of sunglasses, you'll be familiar with polarization. Many of you don't realize that throughout the year, you use a polarizing filter almost every day. Oh, how can you be so sure I use polarizing filters every day? I've never heard of polarizing filters. How would I know what they are? Simple. Sunglasses. Most sunglasses are polarized, and if you move your head from side to side, you'll notice that it gets darker and lighter, darker and lighter, darker, lighter, darker, lighter. That's polarization. I just called to say. That might be a little bit racist. It's not racist, it's only sunglasses. But you see what I mean. We use polarizing filters all the time for our eyes. Why not use them on the camera? Get yourself one. And the final filter that all photographers must have in their kit are the neutral density filters, also known as the NDs. Now, this gets a little bit tricky because there are different types of ND filters. You've got ND grads, and then you've got different ND strengths. What do I mean by that? Well, the graduated ND filter starts dark and goes to clear, so that when you put it on the lens, you have the graduation in the sky, whereas a regular ND filter hasn't got the graduation. Yeah, but what is an ND filter? You haven't said so yet? Yes, come on, get on with it. Yes, get on with it. I'm getting there, calm down. The neutral density filter reduces the amount of light that passes through the lens, which thereby decreases the shutter speed. They can be really useful in scenarios where motion blur is needed. Say, for example, a cascading waterfall or a beautiful sunset. Landscape photographers use ND filters a lot. They're also fantastic to use in really bright sunny conditions. If you're shooting in the desert, you will definitely be using an ND filter. ND filters come in different strengths, and the smaller the number, the more weak the ND filter is. The larger the number, the darker the filter. So an ND2 is slightly dark, whereas an ND16 is almost pitch black. Where would you use these? Well, an ND2 would be ideal to use in a situation where you need to have the light knocked down just a little bit. Whereas an ND16 would be ideal if you're shooting in the middle of the summer, it's a very bright day, and you need to shoot at a really shallow depth of field and sync the flash. So using the ND16 in really bright sunny conditions will really minimize the amount of light getting into the lens. Now, there are 2 different styles of filters that you can get. There are ones that screw onto the front of the lens, and then there are ones that are a square that drop into a filter holder. The ones that come in a filter holder are fantastic, but they can be very expensive. It's down to personal preference as to which particular one you want to use. I prefer to use the ones that screw onto the lens, purely because they're easy and fast to work with. And make sure you buy a good brand. Do your research. I personally use Hoya filters, but you can use whichever ones you want. Just make sure you're buying a really good quality set of filters. And when you're buying them, make sure you have the right size. Size does matter in this particular case. If you look at the front of your lens, you'll see a size. In my case, I use Canon lenses, and those are 77mm in diameter. So therefore, I need to make sure that any filters I buy must be 77mm. If they're bigger than that or smaller than that, then they won't fit onto the lens. So make sure you look at the size of your lens before buying any filter. This is paramount because you don't want to be wasting money. Now, if you shoot Canon, like I do, and you use their L series glass, which is their professional range, most of those lenses are 77mm. So make sure that before you buy any filters, look at the size of your lens. Don't waste your money. So there you go, those are the top 3 filters that every photographer must have. With your NDs, I recommend getting an ND 2, 4, 8 and 16 because you will definitely be using them all in different situations. And lastly, make sure you keep your filters and your camera lens clean. How do you do that? Get yourself some lens cleaning liquid and some lens cleaning tissues. Don't use your standard tissues because they will always leave sediment and they will make your lens really, really dirty. You can also use a lens cloth. I tend to use that after I've given the lens a really good clean with both the liquid and the tissues. Just make sure that now and again you give all your lenses and filters a really good clean. There you go guys, I hope you found that tip useful. Go out there and get yourself those 3 essential filters for your camera. You will be surprised just how often you use them. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, share it with all of your friends, and I'll see you on the next one.